In this video, I'm going to be using this singing bowl to help you understand how you can feel it before you experience it. Now, if you know Neville, you know he said the secret is the feeling. And I want to use this as a demonstration to visually help you understand. So the bowl, the sound is going to represent your feeling. And we're not just talking about a flashing feeling, a small emotion. We're talking about conviction for you to deeply know and believe this to be true. Okay, so that's going to be the sound. The mallet is going to be your imagination, visualization, all the action and effort and energy to elicit, to get that feeling going. So when you take the imagination, your action, you tap into the feeling, it's going to send that energy, that message out to the universe, to the ether, to the quantum field, as Dr. Joe Dispenza would call it. Now, the universe is going to hear this message and going to send you back a reflection equal via circumstances to this vibration, to this feeling. Now, for a lot of people, feeling something before you've experienced it feels impossible and confusing. And if you're like me and you tried to tap into the feeling, you tried to imagine that desired relationship, that amount of money, and your current situation was completely opposite, that approach could actually make you feel more separate from the desired end experience. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can start to cultivate that feeling before you experience it. But before we do that, I want to get into something that I've seen hold so many people back from really getting into the power of this principle discussed by Neville. And I'm going to show you again using this singing bowl. So even though earlier I hit it and it sends out the feeling, you tap into the feeling, it sends it out, you're going to get a reflection. Now, what happens to most people is they do the same thing. They take the mallet, they take the energy, they take the imagination, but nothing's happening. They're not able to tap into the feeling. It's not sending out that feeling at such a deep level that the universe can then hear it and interact back. So why is that? Because my fingers here that are holding and preventing that vibration are representing your assumptions. And if you have an assumption that counters your feeling based on previous experiences, it's going to energetically block you. So before I show you in part 2 how to cultivate the feeling before you experience it, I want to help you remove the blocks that are preventing you from feeling it. So let's dive in. So what is an assumption and why is it so important to be aware of this before you can actually start to tap into a feeling? Well, an assumption, according to Neville Goddard, is anything you give permission or consent to be true about you. That does not mean the assumption is objectively true. It only means you're giving it permission, unconsciously giving it permission to be true. And how does this happen? If you have a desire to experience romantic love, why would you have an assumption that you're not good enough? Well, the assumptions are going to be based on your early childhood experiences, something from your past that proved or showed to you that that was the truth of you. So it's important to know, here's your little lenses to see reality. None of us see reality as it is. We see reality through the filters of our mind. And the filters are the assumptions, the meanings and the stories that we hold to be true. We're giving them permission and consent. So if you grew up, and this could be in a lot of different situations, maybe you had parents who tried their best, but there just wasn't enough time. You could think that who you are is not enough, because if you were enough, you would have gotten the love and attention and connection you needed. But since you weren't enough, your parents, your caregivers, your environment didn't give it to you. So rather than seeing the unconditional love that would reflect you're worthy and deserving as you are, not for what you do, you see reality through this assumption. And so what do you find? You find its corresponding energy. That is the bowl, the sound you're sending out, and the universe then reflects it back. Now, it's important to understand how your mind works and your subconscious. The assumptions are stored in your subconscious mind. The subconscious filters between 20 to 50 million pieces of information every single second. It's going to block out millions and millions of pieces of information other than what checks out in the assumptions. And that is how you stay safe. That's another really, really big thing to understand. Because right now, if you're wanting to tap into the feeling of abundance financially, but you grew up in an environment which told you that if you took more than your share, you're selfish, or even if you got your share, you were selfish. And if you're selfish, you're bad. And if you're bad, you don't get your needs met. Well, you would actually say, okay, well, I certainly don't want to be rejected, so I'm going to say I don't need that much. And I'm going to have a small vessel in my self-concept. So I'm going to unconsciously reject it or move away from it, because if I had money, then I would be seen as selfish. If I'm selfish, I'm not going to have the connection I need. So you see, filtered through, and you're going to find that experience. So that's why it's so important to start understanding, oh, okay, assumptions energetically are blocking me from tapping into the feeling, because I could have assumptions, I could have subconscious beliefs that feel that if I have that feeling, I'm not safe. And the reason why it doesn't feel safe is because you had an experience in childhood where you were rejected, you were maybe mocked. There was some sort of negative experience that happened to you, or the lack of experience that happened to you, something you needed that you didn't get. And you formed a story or a meaning as to why that happened, why you didn't get it, or why that happened to you. That assumption was made with a brain that was not fully developed. None of our brains are developed fully at that time. However, that assumption could still be directing and driving the bus. Carl Jung has an amazing quote, my favorite one as of now from him, saying, "Until you make conscious what is unconscious, it will dictate your life, and you'll call it fate. Until you're aware of the assumptions that you made to stay safe, they will dictate your life, and you'll think that that's your worth." So then it prevents you from feeling those higher level emotions, because you'll be in danger. It's really important for you to understand that you won't be able to manifest an experience that unconsciously doesn't feel safe. Your body is a huge part of this, and your body is the one that's going to be feeling. The sensation is the language of the body. Feelings are the language of the body. And your heart is so much stronger than your mind. That's why your heart, your feeling aspect, is the magnet that you're attracting from, the assumption. So as you start in this first part to understand and ask yourself, okay, if somebody doesn't call me back, what meaning? Why is that happening? Oh, well, because I'm not enough. I'm not attractive. I haven't done enough. If I did, they would like me. Oh, we're starting to get clear on what those assumptions are and why you're still stuck in that early on framework. And all you need to do is update it. You got to upgrade it. You got to start clearing this up and understanding your true worth. So an easy one to do that is going to be starting to ask why. Okay, I didn't get the promotion at work. Why? Oh, well, because that person, everyone else always gets it. Everybody gets picked over me. I'm never enough. No one seems to be able to appreciate me, even if you appreciate yourself and you see your value. If you had an environment early on that mocked you, that was jealous of you, you will dim your light, or you will feel others can't see your worth. Again, early on assumptions that you can start working with so you can remove them, take the same energy and have it resonate. Because a lot of times what people do is they keep trying to go harder and harder, feeling the feeling and energy in. And it's like if you're in a car and you've got the gas pedal going, but you've got the emergency brake on and full feet on the brake. Your tires are spinning, energy is getting spent, but you're not going anywhere. And that's why nothing is changing, because that feeling is not able to be. Part of you is subconsciously self-protecting because a previous experience in your life showed you that that wasn't safe. As you see that with your adult mind, you're going to be able to let go and start to then have space to feel it. So now how do you feel something you haven't actually experienced? Now, if this is resonating with you and you would like to work with me one-on-one, where we sit down on Zoom and I help you to see your pattern, gain more awareness, and give you practical exercises and techniques so you can step out of those old assumptions, I have a link below for a form. You'll fill that out and I will email you, and then we'll sit down, work together, and help liberate you so you can start building the momentum and creating the life you really want and the one you really deserve to have. So check it out below. So regardless of whatever experience you want, maybe it's about financial abundance, having a certain amount of money. And you might be here or in your current life thinking, okay, yeah, how would I feel with all this money? And you start stressing out because you're like, well, I have that bill. Oh my gosh, how am I going to pay my rent? And as you're starting to feel into this, it could actually make you feel more overwhelmed in your current moment, and again, more separate from that. So rather than trying to force what that $1 million would feel like, or even $100,000, what I encourage you to do is start understanding the essence. What end emotion do you associate with having the money? We're gonna work backwards. So maybe it's security. You'll feel secure with this amount of money. Maybe it's about stability. If you had this money, then you'd have stability. So what is important right now is to understand, oh, okay, are there any places in my life right now that I feel a little bit secure, or I feel a little bit, even just a little bit stable? Because what this is going to allow you to do is start saying, oh, okay, I actually have that feeling. It's just small, but I can amplify it, and amplifying it is what's going to send out the energy into the universe. Because people who have the desired reality, who have created abundance in their life, they didn't get those feelings of security and stability because of the money. They had them, were expressing it out, and then that money magnetized to them. So it's that reverse of what we might actually think how it works. Now for love, you don't necessarily want somebody just sitting there in your house or your apartment next to you. There is a desired end emotion that you associate with having this relationship, a sense of belonging. In this relationship, it will amplify your sense of belonging. Maybe it's about love. In this relationship, it will amplify that sense of love, or even being seen. The more you can start to backtrack, okay, if I had this thing, what emotional end game would I have? And when you start to detach from how it comes in, it can actually help you draw your energy back to yourself. And doing that will completely change that feeling of it being so separate, because you're going to start to take your power back and say, oh, I actually have the ability to feel seen right now. Maybe it's small. I would like more, and that's wonderful. But associating and understanding that you already have that feeling and you can grow it. It's going to give you that power and not make you feel so helpless, because how does it feel to be in a safe, stable, reliable relationship if all you've ever had was rejection? If you force it, and you've got a fear that everyone leaves you, and you're not understanding how to be emotionally available to yourself, you'll keep the gas pedal on. You'll keep spending all the energy to try to get the feeling, but the blockers of assumption are going to hold you back. So rather than continue to try to imagine something that you're not really aware of, tap into what you associate with having that desired reality, feeling seen, feeling a sense of belonging. The more you do that, the more you're actually tapping into the feeling. And right now, it might just be a fleeting emotion, but you can work with it to build the momentum to where it becomes conviction, where it becomes a knowing, where you release the assumptions and you start sending out that feeling to the universe to such a level that that energy has no other choice but to be reflected back to you, collapsing the wave of potential into particle form, which is what quantum physics shows of how our reality works. Where the attention goes collapses the potential of all the infinite things going on, collapses it into a particle, a 3D form, so you can experience it in your life. But thinking of it continues to create the separation. Now, understanding how to do these things so that you can start tapping into the feeling is powerful. But there's one thing that radically changed how I use my energy. And this next video right here is going to show you step by step on how you can start to become more aware, take that light of awareness, and start to elevate your consciousness so you can have more power to tap into the feeling and remove all those blocks. So check it out right here.